Award today.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, Podchaser, iTunes, TuneIn, Rumble, Tiki Live, and more. I'm Dr. Marissa, your host of and producer of this show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I bring you topics and guests to that end. If you missed any of them, please go to my YouTube channel. There's only 681 to choose from. Sarcasm is another service that I offer. And I'm so grateful to have today. You'll see I'm not alone in the studio, but I have a very special friend who I've known for years. I didn't count yesterday when we were talking, but she's a blessing to me. And we share a lot of love and laughs, which, you know, laughter is my favorite sound in the world. So please welcome back to my studio. If you missed yesterday's show, she was my
sidekick.
Is it psychic? Yeah, for my show with Dr. Marissa reporting live. So please welcome to the studio, Piper Dellums. So Piper, for those, we didn't get a chance to really introduce you. So today I'm going to say, I don't have an answering machine. I have a questioning machine. And when you call me, it says, who are you and what do you want? So Piper Dellums, who are you and what do you want?
Oh, Marissa. Well, normally when people ask those questions, we have a tendency to give our historical record. What have we done in the world? Things have transitioned. There's an evolution to who I am in this season, in this time, because we're in a transformative time and a time of unveiling. In the world, I'm a filmmaker. In the world, I'm a United Nations delegate, Commission on the Status of Women. In the world, I have 15 published books. I'm a mother. I'm a drama therapist. I'm a humanitarian. I rescue women and children from all over the world from human trafficking and domestic violence. In the heart place, in the center, in the true home, in the world of my being, I am a survivor. And I have taken the experiences, the pain, and the purpose of my life, and I have turned that into a good medicine to evolve my own spirit and to be able to aid and help others through what it is that I have lived and survived. Most importantly, I'm the daughter of Congressman Ron Dellums, who authored the sanctions bill that ended apartheid. He started the Congressional Black Caucus. I am his legacy seed and very proud to carry his baton. And I'm a woman, so I am every woman. I am you, Marissa. I am the tree. I am Pachamama. I'm the breath of life. And I'm just one little blink of God on the planet trying to shine a little light, a little stardust.
Beautiful. I can't think of a better way to frame you. I'm gonna put you up on my wall. And we met at a Share award ceremony.
That's right.
And Piper was a speaker there, and I was on the red carpet. I don't know if I saw you come in on the carpet. I'm trying to remember, but when we met, it was like, yeah, exactly.
From here, it was like,
Yeah, and it was so weird and beautiful at the same time. And then I got this amazing invitation to her father's celebration of life in Oakland, and going there and getting to cover it, as well as, and there were so many, couple things stood out from that day. One was how many people love you and loved your father, that were there, and I was there with a microphone, and I'll never forget. I don't even remember. She was some big person. I don't think it was Nancy Pelosi, but it was some woman who was like, "Who is she and why is she here?" And
Angela Davis or someone?
I don't remember, but it was like, oh my God. And like, I was invited here. And then you came, and I guess you heard my silent, oh my God, help. And you came up behind me, grabbed my hand and pulled me to the desk and said to the registrars, "This is an important woman. She gets to sit at, put her over there with me." And I was like, wow. And then the other thing that happened that was cool was Stevie Wonder was there performing, and he was a lover of your father as well, and vice versa. And he recognized me. I don't know if I told you that when I went backstage and I said, "Hey, Stevie," and he recognized me, and people always go, "Yeah, he's blind, Dr. Marissa." I go, "I know, but he recognized my voice," which was so cool. Which was so cool.
And if you think about it, on that day, he sang a song that I know he wrote for my father, which is "Love's in Need of Love Today." And what I would say about a heart like Stevie's and a heart like yours, and a heart like mine, is that love recognizes itself. So of course he recognized your voice as it comes with a high vibration.
Thank you.
He's not blind. He's not blind to the beauty in the world, Marissa, which is you.
No, thank you.
Yes. My mom used to say, my mother would walk into a room. She had a special fragrance she always wore. And Stevie would say, "Roscoe's in the house." And I was like, wow. And he was like, "I smelled her." There could be 100 people in the room. But what a beautiful, keen sense. Yeah.
Yes. He's such a beautiful soul. And Lionel Richie did something. And then what actor?
There were so many. Danny Glover, Lou Gossett, everybody was there. Art Evans, everybody. I mean, he was so loved. He was so loved. And especially, these are African-American actors and musicians. They all remember started together in the civil rights movement. We know them now as the famous musicians, the famous politicians, but these were young Black advocates and civil rights leaders and students starting in 1968, coming out of the Vietnam War and the civil rights movement, who found each other on the road to justice. So the way that God lifted them up the mountains to become celebrities and stars, that's one thing. But they all held each other's hands. My dad was picking cotton and fruit with Cesar Chavez as a teenager, which is why they were so close, and why he gave Cesar's eulogy. So before they were Ron Dellums and Cesar Chavez and Stevie Wonder, these were young Black, brown, and red and yellow men and women in a new United States, fighting side by side, hand in hand, for injustice.
Beautiful, beautiful. We got to take a break. So I'm going to interrupt here. I know we can talk for 2 days. So I just want to mark and remember too that he was the one that was instrumental in freeing Nelson Mandela. You mentioned apartheid, but I just wanted to, I think that is just amazing. And you are definitely carrying on his legacy, and I'm proud to be hand in hand with you and supporting you in your work. And I know you are with mine too. So it's such a delight to have you co-host. We ran out of time to do gratitudes in the first segment, but we will be back to take a bite of our gratitude sandwich this morning as well. We're answering the question of the day. How do I stop sabotaging myself from success? As well, if you have any compliments to pay, please do. You can call 888-909-1050 and Sam will take the question. or you can go right in the chat. Some of you are here already. Thank you for joining us. Facebook, as well as my YouTube channel. So we'll be right back with more of Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa and Piper Dellums here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Welcome to Balanced Tai Chi Gong. My name is Dr. Marissa Pei. For the next 28 minutes, we will be slow dancing with the universe in a moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. Just follow the sound of my voice and move with me as I guide you through this ancient wisdom through New Thought practice. As a corporate psychologist, I created this practice in response to my life and those of my clients. We were professional, high achievement-oriented, multitasking control freaks and exhausted. No matter how many successes, it was never enough. That, coupled with a painful life experience, led me on a quest to find another way to live and back to my Chinese roots. If you practice regularly, I can promise you that it will impact all health vortexes. Body, mind, spirit, soul. You will be in a place of balance and inner peace the way we were created. 谢谢.
Be my partner, dance.
What if conforming to the world was exploring the world? What if the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, little girl, turns into how many streets of life do you want to explore? What if the purpose of life is not to die with the most toys to leave our squabbling relatives? What if the purpose of life was to do things that we enjoy most of the time, have relationships that we enjoy most of the time, and use our unique talents, gifts, and abilities to fully express in the dash between birth and death? What if, as a direct result of this horrible pandemic, we could rise out of the ashes with a new PPP, post-pandemic possibilities? The sooner you turn "it's impossible" to "I'm possible," the what ifs become possible too. Because you are loving, lovable, and loved, wrapped in a warm blanket of worthiness. But it may start with getting out of bed and making it. What if starts with
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And we're back. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News Radio, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere, including my YouTube channel, where it houses all 682 shows, as well as my Red Carpet series, with interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, all kinds of fabulous people. So you can free subscribe there and get that, as well as my new short film that you just saw the trailer for, called PPP, post-pandemic possibilities. Piper, have you seen it yet? Did I send you a link or not?
No, but I'm very much in love with the trailer that I just saw.
Oh, good, because it won its first. Did it? It won its first laurel. I got a little, and Piper's a very talented and accomplished and recognized filmmaker. So I'd love for you to give me a soundbite. One of my past guests, a filmmaker. Do you know Seth Greenleaf? Maybe not. Okay. He said that the film was a vitamin B12 shot for hope and happiness.
Oh,
isn't that beautiful? And I know you will come up with something equally as incredible after you watch it. So let's jump in before we totally forget how to do gratitude. Not that we don't know how, but you all know, if you've been tuned in at all on my morning show, is that we start the day with gratitude. So I am exercising and strengthening your muscle to focus your choice of what you are paying attention to something that is good, instead of starting the day going like this and realizing all the things that are bad and what's wrong with you, what's wrong with people, what's wrong in the news, not nude, in the news, because if it bleeds, it leads. So normally Sam does this, but Sam's getting a vacation this morning to do gratitudes with me, because Piper's going to do them with me. And it's very easy. I say something specific. You can't say friends and family because it's too general. So I am grateful for sound and the ability to adjust it and be tickled by it and innovated by it. So I love that I am able to hear and enjoy music. At the same time, I love American Sign Language, and I'm grateful for that as well. Okay, so I did too. So you do too.
Right on. Well, this morning, I'm grateful for the rain. If you don't live in California and you live in other places where rain is something that you take for granted, living in California with the drought, but also with the plethora of the most beautiful trees, flora and fauna and inhabitants on this planet, I'm so grateful because the flowers are in bloom, the birds are dancing, the earth is drinking it in. And I always feel as if our oceans and ponds and rivers are just one drop away from that much more health. I love the rain. I love water. I love the purification. And this morning, I love the sound and the smell. So
okay, that's like 18 gratitudes right there. All right. So I am grateful for the truth that every single drop of water is different from each other. Every single blade of grass, every single leaf on a tree, and every single grain of sand is completely different from each other, unique and wonderful in its own creation, just like we are. That 7.3 billion. The other day, someone said 8 billion. Are we that? Did we move through COVID and we gained? I don't know. But I'm so grateful that every single one of us, 7.3 billion in the world, in our world, who knows about beyond that, is individually unique, one of a kind, wonderful, no throwbacks in the bunch.
Love that. I'm grateful that every life experience has the possibility to become a life lesson. I'm grateful that grief in the life experience is not permanent, and that the medicine of grief is the evolution of soul.
Ooh, nice. I'm grateful that I was not accidentally led to invite Piper to be my co-host this week. Such a, this was not planned. Piper and I are super close, but we don't necessarily see or talk to each other that often. And I'm, when I see her post, I send out love, and I know she's doing really well, and I know it happens vice versa. But it just so happened, I was saying that I'm, when I said yes to do 5 days a week, I don't think I was quite thinking through that when I went from once a week to 5 days a week. Actually, I'm on Saturday at 6 now too. I didn't even know that until the other day. Joe emailed me and said, you're on at 6 on Saturdays, but you don't ID that. I'm like, So I'm on 6 days a week. So I didn't think through the amount of work that goes from one show a week to 5 and still wanting it to have as high caliber guests and all that. So I was just saying, okay, God, I call him my UPS man, my universal power source who delivers every night. So my UPS that morning was delivering. I asked him to deliver a little bit of help. And then that moment, I saw your like on one of my posts. And I thought, wonder what she's doing tomorrow. That was Sunday. So I reached out, and sure enough, she's agreed to co-host all week. So you get this beautiful woman with me who is just as shy as I am, with nothing to say. Sarcasm is another service I offer. So I'm so delighted to have her and sharing the gratitudes this morning. So that's another gratitude.
Wow. Well, Dr. Marissa, I'm grateful for beautiful, powerful, honest women in my life. I know you said no friends and family, but after you dropped that seed into the soil of my being, I have to say I'm grateful for you. I am grateful for you. So are your listeners. So are everyone who opens up the door of their morning and awakens to the possibility that they could be down, they could hold on to what's lacking, and they have a show like this to be able to remind them, look up, even from the shadows of our life experiences. Look, I was one of them. Even when you picked up the phone, I had a decision I could have made. I could have made a decision to hide in the places, that felt dark and lonely. And then you turned on this bright light on the other end of the phone. So we're grateful for the service, your purpose, your integrity, and what you're called in the earth to do. You save a lot of people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And vice versa. This is a good segue. Thank you for doing the gratitudes with me. And those of you who are listening now or later, remember to start your day with the gratitudes. And then most importantly, there's a bottom of the bun. Otherwise, it would just be a patty. Gratitude bun in the top of the bun in the morning. And then before you go to sleep, I want you to appreciate something about yourself. And I do 8 again, because 8's a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homophone for good fortune, just in case you thought I was Swedish. But I am Chinese, and I appreciate that I do value my Chinese roots now. I didn't when I was growing up, because I got a lot of grief for being different looking, but now I've embraced the fact that I am a Chinese woman. And no, it is not Kung Flu. It is not the Chinese virus that, plunged us into a pandemic. It was a virus, but all races are of value. And for me, it is definitely my Chinese roots. So I appreciate that about myself. Piper, what do you appreciate about yourself?
I appreciate my mind, heart, spirit, and so I appreciate my life, to be honest. And I can say this from the top of the mountain, because just like you, I spent a lot of my life not appreciating anything down from my thighs to my hair, to the way that we as women of color walk through the world. We want to hide. I am so incredibly in love with myself, and I'm in love with all of our cultural uniqueness. I'm in love with the fact that God blew his spirit into brown, black, yellow, and red earth, and blew his spirit into mankind in all of our diversity. I think it's stunning.
Wonderful. Beautifully said. And that is exactly the kind of appreciation that I'm talking about, because too many of us, myself included, until I started to follow my own advice, are walking around with little antenna going, who loves me, who appreciates me, who respects me, how many likes am I getting, how many comments am I getting? And that exercise is futile, because if you cannot approve of yourself, how the fork do you expect other people to approve of you? So it does start here. And it's not 100% of the time, it's 88% of the time, which is most of the time. So that is a good segue into the question of the day, which is, how do we stop sabotaging ourselves? Anybody here have memories or are guilty of and I'll give you my example. You know that you need to do something, or something's presented to you, you just have to show up for it, you just have to call, you just have to go visit, you have to make an appointment, you have to fill out the form, you have to write the paper, you have to, all those things that you know you need to do that would help success follow through the door, and yet you just don't do it. And it's the most weird thing. You know you shouldn't take that drink. You know you shouldn't take that drug. You know you shouldn't go shopping. You know you shouldn't gamble. You know you shouldn't say the thing that you're going to say, because you can't unring a bell and you say it anyways. You know you shouldn't say I do in a relationship. You know you should. So those are my shoulds that I felt. Can you give me yours, Piper, on things that?
Well, I listed all of them, Dr. Marissa, but in terms of self-sabotage, the one that really touched me in this season of my life was I know that I shouldn't have stayed in a course of controlled domestic violence marital situation for as long as I did. And I think there are many women who suffer from the God complex, and it is a stifling of our lives, but we have the tendency to believe that if we walk away, we're less of a woman. If we walk away, we're not as close to God because we didn't continue to say yes to the abuse or yes to the suffering. We think of ourselves as being doormats and not eagle's wings, It's part of being a woman, the process of not wanting to appear a failure, which I think answers a lot of the other portions of the list, is that fear of failure, and also that fear of expectation, and that giving a hot fork, as you said, of what other people think of you. And we get to a point where it's like, really, we're all broken and damaged, and I don't really care what I figure the next door neighbor should be focusing on self. But because we are so concerned with what is everyone else thinking, we keep ourselves in situations or not jump and soar because we're afraid to fall. So
yeah,
I'm going to embrace everything that you said.
Okay. So I think one of the reasons that I self-sabotaged was this, I've heard the expression, the fear of failure,
That's
the
right.
fear of success, the opposite side that doesn't make sense, but you can feel both. Feeling that you're not worthy or deserving of something good, feeling, like you said, that it will look bad to someone, or that it will break your word or your promise to someone. And all of those are BS. All of those are belief systems that keep us from claiming our birthright to be happy 88% of the time. And I've talked about the critic, I think, a lot in one Happy 88 tool, naming the critic. And I think we went through this, I don't remember, Sam, it was sometime last week, I think, when we were addressing, perfectionism and how we criticize ourselves, and that critic drives us off of a cliff in our life car. There's a second character that is highly related to sabotage, and that is what I call the brat. So the brat can be equally as strong, and I have some life balance and happiness coaching clients who maybe don't have a critic and maybe should have a stronger critic, but they have a huge little brat who says things like, what do you mean I have to apologize? Screw you, or fork you, or what do you mean I have to show up for work on time? Screw you, you're not the boss of me. I can do whatever I want, and I don't feel like going out for a walk now. My sweatpants said I can stay at home on the couch. I'm not putting my bathing suit on, so I can't talk. What do you mean I have to be nice to her? I hate her. What do you mean I have to make that call? I don't want to work. I don't feel like working. I don't feel like writing. I don't feel like. So that voice can sabotage you.
Sure.
For all the reasons and more, to continue to keep you in that place of you can't win. Because what happens when the brat says that, and then let's say I had a huge strong brat when I was trying to quit smoking. So the brat would say, "Come on, you don't smoke that much. You just can have one. It's not that big of a deal, and it's your body. You can do whatever you want, and who cares? And screw them. And I'm going to smoke at them. You can just have one." So then I'd go and have one, and then the critic, "You know better. It's bad for your health. And how dare you? You made a promise and you broke the promise." And so the head was just constantly ready to blow up from both of these characters inside of us, giving us no peace of mind, no peace of heart. And so the tool here, my answer is to name the brat and the critic so that you know who you really are. You are not those voices in your head. You are balance-centered Piper, balance-centered Dr. Marissa, balance-centered Sam. All of us have the real self, which is that, and the first thing you do is just take the breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth, and just relax into you, not the brat, not the critic. Name them. So last week we named, or was it yesterday? I get my days mixed up. My critic's name is Rose. Guess what my mother's name is? Rose. And my brat's name is Agnes. So when they start talking, I can understand first and foremost when I take that breath that I am not those voices. Mm-hmm. I am balance-centered self. And I can speak to both of them by name and tell them to just chill. So the critic goes in the passenger seat, put your seatbelt on. You've been yelling at me for all your life. Have a vacation. I got this. The brat, Agnes, I think it came from that movie, Agnes of God. But I put Agnes in the back seat in this corner so I can keep an eye on her and say, "Agnes, love you. You're so cute. But you're driving our life car over the cliff. And if we don't make that call right now, or if we don't show up for this opportunity, we're going to crash. And I got this. You just relax." Right. And recognizing that the other side of Rose, the critic, is the protector. We needed our critic when we were young or we'd be dead. So there's a value in, because some coaches and therapists will say, kill the critic, throw them over, hate them, tell them to F you, tell them to fork off. But I believe that the flip side is necessary. So when we're grateful and thankful and cajoling to the critic, and grateful for the brat, because the opposite side of the brat is fun, right? The brat is the one that keeps us laughing and joking and all of that. So we need the brat. We don't want to kill her, but we put her in the back seat and promise her that right now is probably not the time to make a joke about our boss's hair. Not a good idea. May get into trouble, but I promise when we go home, we're going to go do a practical joke on somebody, or do something funny, or go to a comedy show or something where we can get our giggles out. Yeah. So the Happy 88 tool here, and all of you know this is from 8 Ways to Happiness from wherever you are, and that's the Asian Oprah giveaway today. If you stay to the end of the show, you'll get a free audiobook of that. Nice. You get an audiobook. Because I want you to really begin to practice this so that we can claim that 88% happiness. So there's the tool. And I want to hear your take and your what that did for you, as well as what you think self-sabotage can do. What does it help us do? And then tools from Piper, because she is wisdom personified. When we come back after break here on Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Are people driving you crazy? Do you hate your job, but you're not quite sure what you should do instead? If you have questions like that, then I have great news for you. I'm Dr. Marissa, celebrity host and producer of your 8 a.m. drive time show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. And now that we are coming out of this thing called the pandemic, I'm delighted to tell you that our question and answer lines are opening up again. So if you're looking for some answers, solutions, happiness coaching, and advice, first thing in the morning from yours truly, Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, then call 888-909-1050. That's 888-909-1050. And I'll be happy to help you claim your birthright to be happy 88% of the time.
Well, she has been dubbed the Asian Oprah, and she just wants all of us to be happy.
Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, says the most important thing you can choose is choosing to be happy.
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa.
That's the idea for Dr. Marissa Pay's new book called 8 Ways to Be Happy.
Many of us say, I am my own worst critic. Nobody's harder on me than I am. And my response to that is, stop it! Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to be your biggest fan, because if you can't at the end of the day say, I did a good job, who is? We don't have to constantly be angry at the things that are wrong. Why don't we choose to be happy about things that are right? We have the choice. That's our muscle. And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome back. You are tuned into Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa and Piper Dellums today here on NBC News Radio, CNBC News Radio, and NBC Sports Station, KCAA. AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podchaser, Amazon Music, Audible, Tiki Live, Rumble, iTunes, TuneIn, and more. Why so many places? Because I want the maximum splatter zone for more hope and happiness, and for people like my friend Piper Dellums, who is here to co-host. We are doing compliments, questions, and commercials. We did commercials. And speaking of which, the first commercial, I finally am going to teach again on the beach. So please do. I want you to fly down actually that weekend. That's the last weekend, every last Saturday of the month. I'm finally going back to the beach and teaching you the Tai Chi. So nice. April 30th, 10 a.m. come to the beach, go to drmarissa.life and sign up there so you know where it is. And Piper, how do you talk yourself out of sabotaging yourself, which is the question of the day? I just went through my Happy 88 tool, and I really would love to hear Piper's take on it.
Well, I loved hearing your list and the names of the sabotager and the little brat. What I remember and recognize, especially through this process of evolution, which I think all of us have gone through this real heavy unmasking during this time, I stopped sabotaging myself when I first learned how to identify who the brat was and who the sabotager was, and that which affirms me. Because oftentimes, I think we all know this in psychology, that there are a belief, the foundation of the belief system of how we walk through the world is pretty solidified by the time we're 7 years old. And yet we're not always conscious of who or what those belief systems are, where they started, where they're going, but we do magnetize our life in accordance. So we may be the child like I was with two famous parents, you know, an attorney and a congressman. They're very busy people. So not at home a lot. And even if they are at home, they're so busy saving the world or putting out fires around the globe that if I run in with a doll and say, come on, let's go play dress up daddy, or come on and let's go hit a tennis ball, and it's a not now, I can't, what my young mind heard was, you're unimportant. The world is important, you're not. You're not lovable, you're not enough. So in order for me to try to fight my way to the top of that place of influence where I could get as much attention as Grenada, South Africa, Russia, Cuban Missile Crisis, Vietnam War, women's rights, gay rights, marital rights. How do you fight your way as a little girl?
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah. How do you, because you want daddy and mommy's attention, but the world is calling them. They have such a high calling on their life. So I walked through the world trying to accomplish. I wanted to be the top academician. I wanted to be a top filmmaker. I wanted to be a top author. I wanted to be the best mother. I wanted to be the best wife, the best friend. And it felt like I was pretending, because the reality of my humanity kept coming to the surface. I'm sad. I don't feel good enough. I'm depressed. I'm confused. I don't want to speak on that. I'm not this enough, that enough. And that always comes through in that little silent voice until I identified my belief system that had embedded itself. And once I identified those things, somewhere along the way, I didn't feel that I was good enough. I didn't feel that I was lovable. I didn't feel that the world was an easy place or money was easy to attain. All of these things, when I recognized it, then I could give the name and the identification to those two voices that you said often sit on our shoulders. Once I recognized who they were, then I could recognize that they were all part of the whole of self. And when I recognize that, then I can embrace every aspect of my being. I can look at the brat and say, I love you. I see you. I know why you're there. I could look at the critic and say, I love you. I see you. I know why you're there. And then interweave it. I always say this about myself and about humanity, is we're all broken branches, but it's broken branches that make the perfect nests. And in that nesting place, I've called all the broken pieces of myself to find rest and to birth and to nurture and for a place of flight.
Beautiful. I think one of the best things that we have in common is the recognition that all of the pain in life that we have gone through, and you and I have had our fair share at every corner of, or every time we turn on a new path, is recognizing that it's not a bad thing. Like, all of that pain is alchemizing. All pain in life is mandatory, suffering is optional. So all the bad things that have happened are fertilizer. So to grow us and expand us, because that's why we're here.
Absolutely.
And so, you've turned pain into art. You've turned pain into prose. you've turned pain into writing and doing retreats. We went up, both of us can't remember where we were.
The mountains of California.
We were in the mountains. I asked her yesterday because I was trying to find a picture of us together. And I'm like, I can't believe neither one of us. Then it was a retreat and you invited me to come teach the Tai Chi. And so all of the things that you may feel ashamed about or blame about or anger and resentment about, I am absolutely determined to be that example of someone who knows the role of pain, who understands that everything that happened to us when we were kids, none of that was our fault. None of that are we to blame for. We didn't ask for abandonment, molestation, abuse, all of those things that a child should not go through, but many children do. And it's not parents to blame. Parents do the best that they can do. We didn't like it, but it was not our fault. But it is our responsibility not to drag that shiitake from there to here and then project it onto the future and say, well, if you had my childhood, you wouldn't want to work too. Or if you had my childhood, you'd behave badly too. And that, my friends, is bullshit talking, because that it's not true. What happened to you did not happen to you. It happened for you. I love that expression. Love it. So
everything is a medicine, Marissa.
Yeah.
Everything is a good medicine. There is no right or wrong, no good or bad. We get to a stage of maturation when we realize that we're all called sort of metaphorically as a Moses or an MLK. You can't always live in the Egyptian palace. Even if you start off floating down a river in a basket without parents and you're adopted into something glorious and beautiful, and then you end up becoming a slave, it's also that you have the
Uh-oh. We've got a little bit of stoppage here, but we're in with Piper Dellums. If you've just tuned in and you're wondering who that beautiful woman is on the frame with me, it is my co-host for today, Piper Dellums, who is doing a bang-up job supporting the message here. And we just froze for a second. I'm not quite sure what happened. So we missed, but continue. You're live now. You were saying
we did a little spiral.
Yes.
What I was simply saying is that everything is a medicine. Everything is a good medicine. And all of the good medicine and life experiences are not for ourselves, but for the body of humanity. We're only in this incarnation for a blink of an eye. We are a whisper. We're a vapor of wind. And once we recognize that everything that we go through is to open up our hearts for human compassion, to be able to recognize the woe in the eyes of another child, the loss, so that we can have a loud voice, that we can reach in through the fire and pull people through to the other side as we continue to ascend and grab the hands of those that are ahead of us, like the story of the eagle. That's what it reminds me of, everything you said. Mother eagles, and that's what you and I are. Mother eagles spread out their wings for their eaglets, after they've made this big, huge, comfortable nest, and they're all nestled in together. It's warm. She's feeding them. There's song, there's safety. And then she starts breaking that nest apart. And that's what life does. It's not always going to be this comfortable place of nesting. And she spreads her wings out, and the little eaglets climb upon her wings, and she soars, and she goes higher than the nest. And then she drops them into the air. And it's in that place of fear and falling that they find their strength. And then she swoops down as they're falling to the air, and she picks them back up again. Then she goes even higher than that point of home, and she drops them again until they're strong enough to fly on their own. So yes, you and I have been dropped by the mother eagle over and over again, but look at our strength. And look at the height upon which we have learned to fly and to soar.
Absolutely. It's that thing about regrets. I have people ask, when I'm interviewed on other people's shows, do I have uh, do I have any regrets? And I say absolutely not. I do not have any regrets because I know that everything that has happened has led to who I am now in the very place that I am, and that I couldn't be doing what I'm doing or saying what I'm saying unless I had had all of those experiences. And I
Absolutely.
learned that from my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, who
I love it.
yes, I know you do. And he loves you too. And he's the one. I came to him so broken in the middle of a very painful and expensive divorce where I was paying. The judge said, well, you wanted equal rights. And all I could think about was how angry I was, and not understanding that I, like many children from trauma, choose mates and get in relationships that are not good for us. But
Right.
I don't have a regret because I have two beautiful girls from that marriage that I wouldn't give up. And I am living my purpose. And I believe that when I came down to earth, it's kind of like that amusement ride. We're all lined up as spiritual beings, and we come and we want to learn. I wanted to learn about power. I think that was my intention. And what better way to discover power than to be born into a powerless home or be in a powerless relationship? So I absolutely agree with you. It's the medicine. Doesn't always taste good. It doesn't always taste good. A spoonful of sugar.
I was just singing that inside my body.
Spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. The medicine. Anyways.
It was a Mary Poppins moment. But you know what? Here we're talking about our flight. It's funny. I have started saying this thing from my last retreat, and I'm surrounding myself. I really embrace being an Afro-Indigenous woman. There's a part of myself that we really never embraced. We are African, Congo, Ethiopia, and Blackfoot, Sac and Fox, and Cherokee. So I have really been coming together with both ends of my family bloodline, and with such embrace. And I was with some of the indigenous elders, and one being a chief, Deborah Guerrero. I had her leading my last retreat, and we started saying one to another as the eagle, as the hawk. We started saying one to another, I fly. So I want to say this to you, Dr. Marissa, and it's part of my clothing line on my company is Love. And I have this, my company is called isloveretreats.com, and my clothing line is called Is Love, because everything is love. But I fly means I effing love you.
Oh, that's beautiful. We can find paper Dellums.
I want to say it to you and to everyone in the world. We should say it one to another.
Yes.
Because this is our mission. It's what you do, is reminding ourselves that we fly, that we soar.
Yes.
So I fly, Marissa.
Thank you. I accept, I receive. We're out of time. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from my living room with Piper Dellums here on Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. Go forth and multiply the love that you are. Peace in, peace out, world. Peace through inner peace. Have the best day ever. See you tomorrow.
I fly.